Good morning to members of this wonderful forum, UBULU-UKU Cultural Forum. I'll have to speak a little English today because the audience that I wish to address, many of them may not understand UBULU-UKU completely, especially my brothers from distant states in the southeast, and some of our neighbors from Idu who will not understand fully the UBULU-UKU dialect. For their sakes, I will be speaking English. There's this very famous war that took place between my kingdom, UBULU-UKU Kingdom, and the former Benin Empire, the former Benin Kingdom. That war, the proceedings of the war, the stories of what led to the war was continually misrepresented by writers. They say history doesn't lie. It is the people who write history that lie. Most times, historical facts are twisted to suit the narrative or ego of the writer. Two very prominent writers from Benin, we call Benin's Idu. So for the purpose of this conversation, I will be interchanging. I either refer to them as Idu or Bini. Any one of them I use, feel free to ask questions. I will be reading your comments so that I can respond appropriately. My name is Onwodenim Ngozi Chukwuka Fortune, and I'm a descendant of the king who led UBULU-UKU to that war. The king who led UBULU Kingdom to the Aya called Aya Adesuwa was Obi Olise, my great-great-great-great-great-grandfather. I had to use great like 5 times because Obi Olise, after he passed, was succeeded by his son Diese. Diese, father of Ojuko. Ojuko, father of Ojukobi. Ojukobi, father of Oshule, father of 7 sons actually, but I'm narrowing it down to mine. Father of Oshule, Oshule, father of Masha, Masha, father of Onwode, my grandfather. As you can see, my surname is Onwode. I'm from the dynasty of this very king called Obi Olise, who is a descendant of Ezemu, the progenitor of UBULU-UKU Kingdom. There is nowhere in our illustrious history as UBULU-UKU people that we were told that we migrated from Benin Kingdom. There is nowhere again in our illustrious history that we were told that any king from UBULU-UKU was beheaded, was murdered. Nowhere in our illustrious history at all. No king from my kingdom. There have been kings. In our monarchical order, there have been kings who lived different lifestyles, fought wars, won wars. No king from my kingdom was ever beheaded. But I'm going to use some books to show you what people like Mr. Jacob Eyareba from Benin wrote about Obi Olise. Obi Olise, who lived, passed, and was succeeded by his son. I'm going to show you something from the book. I'm not going to market this book to you, but it's a very interesting read. If you have interest in history, you can pick up the book and read. This book is called The Story of UBULU Kingdom, and it was written and published by a renowned writer. This book took more than 10 years of research. It was written and published by Mrs. Esther Nwonuwe, right, an UBULU-UKU writer. I made contributions to this book in the last pages. So I will read what Mr. Jacob Eyareva wrote. Very laughable, but let me read it to us. In page 258, discussing UBULU-UKU Benin War of the 1750 AD. Commenting on the war, Jacob Eyareva noted that, I am quoting him now, a prince of the house of Oboroku came to Benin City to be invested as Ogie or Obi of Oboroku. While dancing around the city after his investiture, according to custom, he called on the Ezomo of Uzebu, who presented kola nut to him through his beautiful daughter Adesuwa, who had been betrothed to the Oba. When the Obi caught sight of her, he wanted to marry her, but she insulted him, calling him bush ruler. In derision, the Obi was indignant, and when he got home, he used charms to bring Adesuwa to Oboroku against the advice of her servant. She asked leave of her parents to go to Oboroku market to demand a debt owed to her for the sale of her goods. When the Obi heard she was there, he sent for her, and when he again refused his intentions and insulted him, he had her murdered. When the tidings reached Benin City, the Uzebu went to the palace to break the news to the Oba and tell him of his intention to make war against Oboroku. The Oba, however, said that he would avenge his lover's death himself. Thank you for listening to this quote from Jacob Eyareva. Now, let's see the corrections inherent in here. I am from UBULU-UKU. Most of my viewers are from Benin, Idu, while some are from our Igbo brothers in the southeast. Now I'm going to ask you, does a woman serve kola nut in your own kingdom? Type the answer here. Let me see. Oposho echoji. Oposho woji. You have to understand the culture of people before you dabble into some of these historical write-ups. Mr. Jacob Eyareva did not take into consideration that a woman does not present kola, a woman does not break kola, a woman does not serve kola. How much more serving it to the king of a kingdom? Secondly, the king saw her, took interest in her, wanted to marry her, and she insulted him. So when the king got home, the Obi of UBULU-UKU, my kingdom, my great-great-great-grandfather, got home, he used charm to whisk her away from Benin to UBULU-UKU. Now, she was charmed to come to UBULU-UKU, but in his narrative here, he said that the young girl told her parents that she's going to UBULU-UKU to drag debts that was owed her by someone who she sold. In the movie, it was portrayed that she sold goat. This means that Adesuwa is not new to UBULU-UKU. She knows UBULU-UKU. She has been visiting UBULU-UKU. So my question to Eyareva is this. How come that the Obi has never seen her and picked interest in her until she came to serve kola nut? That doesn't even exist. I will stop analyzing this man's work because the work is a little bit old. That book was actually published. It's called A Short History of Benin. That book was published in 1965. The way our folklore is, our parents passed these stories to us unbroken. You can see that when I listed my genealogy, I did not read any book. I didn't need a book. I don't also need a book now to narrate to you what happened in the war we call Aya Adesuwa. Adesuwa War. Somebody said it's not a war. It is a war, yes. Some of the comments on my post yesterday said it's not a war. Yes, it's a war. When the king of another kingdom moves far from his kingdom to another kingdom that is not its subject to fight, it is called war. It is not unrest. Somebody said here that if they were able to conquer UBULU-UKU in that war by now, they would be saying that UBULU-UKU is a descendant of Benin. We are not descendants of Benin. In fact, I have quoted here that from the foundation of my kingdom, UBULU-UKU, the Obi of UBULU, the first pioneer king, the progenitor of UBULU-UKU called Ezemu, has a relationship with Benin. This relationship is not subservient. It is mutualistic. In the sense that Ezemu, who, by the way, I have to digress a little, has been described in books written by non-UBULU-UKU authors as the third occult grandmaster of the universe, went to Benin to make charms for them. Most times the Oba of Benin comes to Ubulu himself for these charms to be made. This particular charm called a Dayi is for longevity. Whoever has the charm called a Dayi, the making of the charm is called Izo Dayi. Now, whoever zone a Dayi doesn't die young, doesn't die untimely. This charm was not only meant for kings in Ubulu-UKU. If you are from Ubulu-UKU and most parts of anyone, you should know what I'm saying. My great-grandfather, my great-grandmother had a Dayi. She didn't die. She was already putrefying. She was not dead. Until you find a Dayi and cut it, it's like a rope. Our work in the coronation of the Oba of Benin, I'm saying this in a video so that anybody who has disputes can come on and ask questions so that I can answer you. Our work in the coronation of any Oba of Benin is the preparation of this charm called a Dayi for the Oba. For this purpose, as I said, the Oba will come to Ubulu-UKU and spend 3 days in Onichopi. Because, as I explained, when Ezemu was about to pass, his pot of charm was transferred to his, I won't say grandson now, I will say to his son. Because if I delve into that, I will have to explain that Ezemu, the first son of Ezemu, Ijedenka, was killed in Aniozala. The revenge of the death of Ezemu's first son, the evidence of the revenge is still there till today. Every single soul, every single living thing in Aniozala turned to Ikumenka anthill. And the anthills are still there as I speak with you, looking like human beings. So when the succession line was broken, Oba Dome Nwabo Zim. No, Dome Idebe. Idebe is a woman, a female man, who has undergone the rights to stay at home and give birth to children. It was this Ozim that gave birth to Okpe. Okpe was Ozim's last child. Okpe was the one who inherited Ezemu's pot of charm. And it is Okpe's descendants that make a Dayi for the Obas of Benin. I have read accounts where it is posited that even in this write-up, I had to make some corrections. If you are not from the bloodline of Umu Okpe, there are 4 sons among them. Umu Awokolo, Umu Oshuleze, Ogbendike, if you are not among the descendants of Okpe by blood, if you are not a son of Okpe by blood, you cannot be taught the process of Izo Dayi and other charms prepared by Okpe. You cannot. So even if you are the most loyal person in life, even if your mother is from there, even if your mother is from Onichopi, they will not teach you anything. Your father has to be from there. Your relationship with them has to be patrilineal, not matrilineal, not by friendship. It has to be by birth, by consanguinity, not by affinity. Consanguinity of the patrilineal kind. Before it is these descendants of Okpe that perform these rites that I described, for you, called Izo Dayi. And somebody asked me, do I mean that the Obas of Benin have been coming to Ubulu-UKU? And he mentioned one Oba of Oranwe. Did Oranwe also come? I said yes, Oranwe came to Ubulu-UKU. Even when the British Army dethroned Oranwe, it was Ubulu-UKU that he first ran to before he moved to Calabar. When he moved, special prayers were meant for him. The prayer was that the Oba should go and return safely. There is no dispute about it. This claims as it is today. If you are to see it as a claim, please, kindly, if you are a Benin man or woman, go to the palace of Benin and ask a bit of the history of Ubulu-UKU. Ask about the performances of Ezemu in Benin, even in your palace of Benin. What are the contributions of Ezemu to the development of the palace of Benin? How did the noise from the market, the Oba market, how did the noise, which usually disturbed meetings at the palace, How was the noise quenched today? It's good to ask questions. It's good to also see history from two angles. It was after seeing that movie by Lancelot Masuan, I did not in any way condemn the movie, but the storyline is what I'm picking corrections, and I'm making the corrections outrightly. That there are storylines in that movie that are very wrong. I'm going to pick up another book, a second book. This time another UBULU-UKU author. 2005. In 2005, Ikem and Anene wrote this about the remnants of the people who came to UBULU-UKU for this Adesuwa. This is the book by Ikem and Anene. It's called The Sociology of UBULU-UKU. This book is 2005. I've been telling you things with which my grandparents told me. Now I'm going to read from a book which people who are not from my lineage wrote. The other one I wrote, the person who wrote it is related to my lineage. This one, the authors are not in any way from anywhere near my lineage at all. So page 24 of the book Sociology of UBULU-UKU says, Omudugbe hail from Benin. They are descendants of the escorts who came to UBULU-UKU with Princess Adesuwa in her ill-fated journey for marriage in UBULU-UKU with Obi Olise. Ill-fated journey to marriage. Then descendants of the people who accompanied her. If this woman was whisked away by magic down to UBULU-UKU, how come she came with her servants? There are some lies that don't hold water, and they can never hold water. My wife of today, who I'm sure is also watching this, is from a place we called UBULU-UKU. Her particular lineage is Ije. Ije was a prince from Benin who accompanied the soldiers who came for this war. And in shame, many of them could not go back. It's not something we openly discuss because their stay was negotiated out. Ije would eventually marry a sibling of Obi Olise called Amesha. So my wife is a descendant of Ije and also a bit connected to my great-great-great-great-grandfather's lineage through Amesha, your great-great-grandmother. Anybody who is from Idu can confirm this story that I'm telling you. What I'm telling you is not something you cannot verify. The distance from Obolo to Bini is not more than 2 hours. At most 2 hours, 30 minutes. Drive down to the community. Ask, is it true what this young man said? That kings of Benin have a right that they usually come to UBULU-UKU to perform, and by special arrangement, UBULU-UKU people can go to Benin to perform it. Is it true? If it's true, who are the people that perform it? Then you go to their place, they show you everything. It's not a secret. Yesterday, I had to dig deep to find the picture of one of the Obas of Benin, Adesuwa, whose visit was in 1982. So, the narrative I want to correct is that, first of all, yes, we fought war with Benin. What led to the war was that the Obi of UBULU-UKU went with his entourage of healers to Benin to cure your king, Akim Buddha, who was ailing. And by the mercies of God and our ancestors, he was healed. When he was healed, he asked the Obi to make a demand. The Obi did not make any big demand. He only simply asked that the daughter of Ezomo, his friend, should be given to him in marriage. Now, the daughter of Ezomo, who is Adesuwa, had been betrothed to the Oba. The Oba could not even decline this because he had said, make a request. So the request was granted. After a few hours, the person who granted the request changed his mind that the young lady will not leave immediately with the Obi, that the Obi should go and she will be accompanied back to UBULU-UKU later. And the Obi left. When he got home, we have this thing we call Eshumeji. It's not only the Obi that does it. When they roast yam for you in my place, you will come back to eat that yam. So whatever was done to bring Adesuwa back, she came back fully as a wife and was properly married. In my write-up, I narrated how I met one of the oldest men. By the way, that man should be about 90-something now. Enlightened, educated, what have you. And he's a descendant of Ije's dynasty. There are many of the Benin soldiers who did not return. We have them in every place you can call Idumuidu. Even we have Idumuidus, people from Idumuidu who are living in UBULU-UKU and so many other places in Obolo Kingdom, as it were. This man narrated that when Adesuwa came to marry the king of UBULU-UKU, they continued to live peacefully. Only that Adesuwa, as every other Benin person, has a very sharp mouth. You don't talk back at your husband in my place. She continued this lifestyle to the anger and pain of the other wives who were her seniors, until one day she entered a meeting where her husband was meeting with the council of chiefs, and she told him something, and he asked her to leave, and she replied, "Is it because of these ones that are here? That this palace as a whole is not as big as her own father's backyard or the mother's kitchen?" That was when Obi Olise told Ndi Doloma, take her away. If you are asked to take somebody away in ancient Obolo Kingdom, if you don't take the person away, you will be taken away. That was how Adesuwa was taken away. When the news got to Benin, they prepared for war, came for war, and saw more than they bargained. No king of Obolo. I'm correcting this because I'm making this as one of my last statements. I was waiting for some of the people who were very upset about what I wrote, the truth that I wrote. I was waiting for them to come here now and counter or ask me questions so that I can answer. No king in the history of Obolo has ever been killed, much more being beheaded. No king. No war has ever swallowed Obolo. All the wars that has ever been fought, when later we had need to fight the whites and missionaries, Obolo was the leader of the fight. When you hear Ekumeku today and people are laying claim to Ekumeku, people are laying claim to Ekumeku in every community in Enuani, it's okay to lay claim, but the headquarters of Ekumeku was UBULU-UKU, is still UBULU-UKU, because the sacred forests of Ekumeku are still virgin forests till today. Ekumeku. Elizabeth Isiche wrote about it. Professor Elizabeth Isiche. She wrote that when the leader of the team, that's UBULU-UKU, were decimated, that was when the Ekumeku battle was won. And the Ekumeku battle was won because we had a bit of betrayals. That's another topic if I want to discuss another war. Thank you so much for joining this live broadcast. And God bless you. Do have a very productive week. Miri Buhari si gu. Ufele Buhari si gu. When the wind decides to carry the tail of a palm frond, after carrying it up and down, it is returned to where it was taken from. No wind shall take you off balance this week. I bless your day for you in the name of our ancestors. Do have a very productive day. God bless you. Share this video. Let's use it to correct impressions of those who try to put us in their pockets. Knowledge is power. Let's stop the division. Thank you and God bless you.